How many times have you found yourself thinking, "Why did I do that?" Or, "What if I had acted differently?" And before you could even move on, you were already trapped in a spiral of regret, rehashing every word you said, every step you took, as if you could go back in time and erase everything. This type of thinking consumes energy, steals sleep, and creates an invisible weight that many people carry without realizing it. Constant regret is more than just a nuisance. It becomes an emotional habit, a subtle trap that makes even the simplest decisions seem threatening. Over time, the person begins to doubt themselves, hesitate before any choice, and live in fear of repeating the same mistakes. And the worst part, even when trying to do everything right, regret returns, silent but relentless. But what if regret weren't an enemy? What if, instead of a sign of failure, it were a doorway to awareness, growth, and decisions that are more aligned with who you really are? There is a way out of this cycle without having to erase the past, but by learning to position yourself in a new, lighter, and more truthful way. And that is exactly what you will understand now. From a psychological point of view, regret is a natural emotional response when we realize that our actions or decisions did not produce the expected result. It arises from the contrast between what happened and what could have happened. This difference between reality and fantasy creates a discomfort that we call guilt, frustration, or sadness. According to American psychologist Barry Schwartz, known for his book, The Paradox of Choice, the more options we have, the greater the chance of regret, because we constantly imagine that another choice would have been better. But chronic regret does not arise only from the choices themselves. It is rooted in deeper patterns: perfectionism, low self-esteem, and fear of rejection. Often, those who feel this frequently were taught from a young age to please others, to seek external validation, and to avoid mistakes at all costs. The result is a mind that is always on alert, trying to foresee consequences and anticipate judgments. In addition, today's society cultivates an illusion of absolute control. Social media constantly shows us perfect decisions, the ideal job, the dream relationship, the perfect body, the unforgettable vacation. This fuels the idea that there is always a better path that we should have taken, as if we were incompetent for not having foreseen everything accurately. Neuroscience. Research shows that the human brain has a natural tendency to review past events in search of learning. However, when this process becomes obsessive, it stops being healthy. Instead of teaching, it paralyzes. Instead of preparing, it exhausts. Understanding where this impulse to regret comes from is the first step to disarming its power. And when this happens, a new kind of clarity begins to emerge. One that does not depend on perfect decisions, but on presence and authenticity. Imagine the following scenario. You have just come out of an important conversation. Perhaps it was with a coworker, a friend, or a family member. As you walk home, your mind starts replaying every detail of what was said. A phrase you blurted out impulsively, an opinion you failed to express, a reaction that could have been different. Within minutes, the conversation becomes an internal courtroom, and you become the defendant, judge, and accuser all at once. Situations like this happen every day, from simple decisions, such as declining an invitation, spending money on something personal, or saying no, to bigger moments, such as ending a relationship, changing jobs, or choosing a life path. Regret infiltrates both small and large choices, transforming ordinary moments into minefields of doubt and self-criticism. Many people get used to living in this state of alert. They can't sleep because they are stuck in repetitive thoughts about what they should have done. They waste time reliving past situations, mentally trying to fix something that can no longer be changed. This affects mood, wears down mental health, and silently erodes self-confidence. It is also common for regret to be accompanied by shame, a feeling that is hidden but that shapes the way a person sees themselves. Instead of looking at their decisions as human experiences, with successes and failures, they begin to see themselves as someone who is constantly wrong. as if they had no right to make mistakes or change their minds. And the more this pattern repeats itself, the harder it becomes to trust their own intuition. Fear of acting, of choosing, of taking a stand arises, because deep down, the expectation is that any action will bring new regret. But it is precisely at this point of discomfort that the opportunity for transformation arises. Breaking out of the cycle of constant regret doesn't require magic formulas, but rather small, consistent changes in the way we deal with our own thoughts and emotions. The starting point is accepting that making mistakes is part of the human condition, and that no decision will be perfect from every point of view. One of the most powerful tools in this process is self-compassion. Instead of harshly judging yourself, try talking to yourself as you would to someone you love. Ask, what would I say to a friend if they were feeling this way? This simple exercise in perspective can break the cycle of self-criticism and make room for internal care. Researcher Kristin Neff, a world leader in self-compassion, shows that people who practice this habit not only suffer less from regret, but are also able to learn more from their mistakes. Another transformative strategy is the mindfulness journal, a type of diary in which you write, without censorship, everything you are feeling after a decision that caused doubt or discomfort. By putting your thoughts on paper, your mind slows down. This allows you to see what is really happening, separate facts from interpretations, and find repeating thought patterns. This habit, when done regularly, helps develop emotional clarity and more conscious decision-making. It is also essential to practice intentional decision-making. Before you act, ask yourself, is this choice aligned with my values? Or am I trying to please someone? The closer you get to what is true for you, the less likely you are to regret it. Not because the outcome will always be positive, but because the choice came from an authentic place. And that is enough to bring peace. And finally, pay attention to the present. Conscious breathing, even for 2 minutes a day, helps reconnect body and mind. When you are present, the past loses its power, and it is in the now that you can change the course of any story. Regret may have been a frequent visitor, but it does not have to be a permanent resident. With these tools, you can make room for lighter decisions and a more generous relationship with yourself. Arrepender-se de algo é sinal de consciência. Significa que você se importa, que tem valores, que busca acertar. Mas viver se punindo por decisões passadas não é sinal de lucidez. É uma prisão invisível que rouba sua força e paralisa o presente. Nenhuma escolha define sozinha quem você é. O que realmente importa é o que você faz a partir dela. Quando você escolhe agir com mais presença, mais intenção e mais gentileza consigo mesmo, começa a perceber que errar não é fracasso, é parte do caminho. O arrependimento deixa de ser uma sentença e passa a ser um convite para crescer, para ajustar o rumo, para se conhecer melhor. Você não precisa carregar o peso de todas as suas escolhas nas costas. Pode sim aprender com elas, agradecer pelo que revelaram e seguir mais leve. O passado já aconteceu, mas o que você faz agora, neste instante, ainda está em suas mãos. Comece com um gesto pequeno. Escolha algo hoje que reflita quem você realmente é e não quem os outros esperam que você seja. A transformação começa no momento em que você decide parar de se punir e começa a se escutar de verdade.